So this is an example of consequences catching up with a reform-run council, or in this case, that council in particular being the Worcestershire County Council. A couple of weeks ago, we covered the fact that there was this plan by the previous administration to build this brand new secondary school. Now, this will be built, or at least finished being built, around about 2029. Now, during that gap, there would be maybe some overcrowding issues, maybe classrooms would be a bit bigger, but by 2029, that will go away because you have this brand new secondary school. All these kids can go there. It would be a new catchment area, which would bring other schools, which would mean those other schools that are suffering from those issues, those kids can now go to that other, that brand new secondary school. It would be a long-term solution to the problem of overcrowding in Worcestershire. Instead, Reform decided in their infinite wisdom to cancel that secondary school and instead just expand the current secondary schools, not really solving the underlying issues, but still also facing an overcrowding crisis in these schools because it doesn't solve the underlying problem of that new school being there to bring those children. Also would reduce cost of getting kids to school as well, where it was being built, solving so many problems that, of course, Reform do not care. They do not know what they are doing. They're just like, yeah, that's costing a lot of money. We're just going to cut it and get rid of it. So today, or at least last week, there was a vote on this issue. Now, of course, in Worcestershire, they are a minority administration, meaning that sometimes, or at least a lot of the time, you'd hope, they do not have the necessary votes if they are going to do something a bit wacky, a bit weird. In this case, because this school is perfect, it solves all the problems that they are facing in this area. It would solve a lot of problems, but not according to Reform. So they tried to get rid of it. They had a vote. They lost this vote because everyone voted against them. Now, this plan is completely in limbo. Who knows how this is exactly going to affect things, how this is going to roll out. But Reform now has to compromise. Whether this new school gets built or not, who knows? But this will be interesting to see, where a case of they tried to do something in a minority administration and they've lost. So this will be interesting how this plays out further down the line over the next couple of weeks. So we'll be keeping an eye on this. But if you are from Worcestershire and you know about this as well, please, of course, do comment down below and tell us more about this as well. But of course, as always, thank you very much to all those people who do help and support the channel. Even if you do, just click the like and share button, it all helps. Don't forget, of course, to ring the bell so you get notifications of when we go live as well, and you get notifications when we drop a new video. Down below, of course, there's links to my Patreon page, the one-off donation link called Buy Me Coffee, the YouTube thank you button, the YouTube membership down below as well. So thank you very much to all those people who do help and support the channel that way. There is, of course, the QR code up here, which will take you straight to the Patreon page as well. So, as always, thank you very much to all those people who do help support the channel, and let's get cracking on straight into this. So, Reform's plans to scrap a £63 million high school now in limbo. So, plans to scrap the building of a new £600 million high school are now in limbo after Reform was voted down by opposition councillors. This, you have to remember, all the other opposition councillors are like, it doesn't make sense cancelling this. This solves a lot of problems that we are facing. This is a long-term solution. Yes, it would be take until like 2029 to like finish and be built. But once it's built, it would then solve a whole lot of problems. But that's not how Reform seem to think, or even care to think like that. Anyway, back to this. Long-standing proposals have been drawn up and to build this school now on land off Newton Road in Worcestershire, there we go, by, of course, the local authorities. Reform leadership said now that spiralling costs mean it now favoured expanding the intake at existing schools. However, in a full council meeting, Labour, Lib Dems, Greens, and even Conservative councillors teamed up to oppose the scrapping of the school, leaving this project status now completely uncertain. Councillor Rob Walton said, Rob Walton, the deputy leader, said, we don't have the money to actually build it. then that's the problem. The problem is they do have the money to build it. This was what was proposed by the previous administration. This is what's they're now, and this is great because they're now pretending, oh, we don't have the money to build it. Anyway, plans are, of course, drawn up by the previous Conservative administration, but the costs, of course, risen in recent years, with estimates now at £63 million. Reform, of course, took control of the authority after the May elections. It wanted to expand capacity at several different high schools in Malvern, Pershore instead, with now these extra places made available now to Worcestershire children. At the full council meeting, Reform was, of course, seeking support to try and cancel the £330 million of borrowing, while trying to write to the Department of Education to officially now scrap the plan, only then to be voted down. Why? Because this plan solves a heck of a lot of more problems than the one that they are proposing. Oh, yeah, we'll just expand these other high schools. Well, the problem is by 2029, you still face the exact same problem of overcrowding. So it doesn't, their plan does not solve any problems, which typical Reform in many ways. Conservative councillor Karen May said it is, of course, far too premature to be making this decision. We know that there is going to be a real demand for school places in the future right across the whole of Worcestershire. We need to draw up a proper plan for education of the whole county. Lib Dem councillor Josh Robinson said, all I hear from Reform is build the infrastructure first, then everything else like the housing later. Yet here we are with the chance to actually do something like this, and they are trying to cut it, which is another bizarre thing Reform Council are doing, by the way. They're now insisting, oh, well, instead of building houses, etc. first, we've got to build the roads first. We've got to build the roads first. We've got to get the roads down first, and then we'll build the houses. Not necessarily how it works every single time, but there you go. Other councillors, of course, hit out at the prospects of Worcestershire children now having to travel on buses to other areas now for high school education, saying it would, of course, put them at a disadvantage. The Reform councillors say that they have no intention of now pressing ahead with the school proposal, despite now being blocked from officially being able to scrap it, which, again, is going to cause other issues down the line on this one. So, because the party is now running, of course, the councils and minority administration, it can, of course, be defeated on key votes like the school debate. Reform's Stephen Foster, another cabinet member for education, said that cancelling the school would now contribute to our savings plans in order now to maintain the future viability of this council. But then the problem is you run into problems much further down the line, because there is going to be an increase in the desire for school places. This high school, this secondary school, solves that long-term problem. It doesn't if you decided to just increase the intake in these two other schools. They have no idea what they're doing. But, oh, we just need to cut money. We need to cut money. Well, you've been defeated. What are you going to do now? So, after, of course, the meeting, Mr. Walton, the cabinet member for finance, said there's nobody on the Reform Party who wouldn't, of course, like to build a shiny new school. We would, but fundamentally, we do not have the cash. He said the matter, of course, will return now for a debate at the full council meeting early next year. And in all likelihood, they will be defeated again on this. Saying that we don't have the cash is ridiculous. They could actually borrow if they wanted to get this done. The Department of Education has funds for this. And the long-term solutions this would provide would far outweigh any of the borrowing costs. Far outweigh any of the borrowing costs, because otherwise you come down to this problem again. And in 2029, because again, you've cancelled the school and you haven't built it, well, guess what? You've now got the place of increased demand for places, and you do not have those places. There are other things they could do to try and get this money, and they know it. They know it. The Department of Education has money for stuff like this. It can help out with stuff like this. Are they going to go to that? Oh, no, they can't. Just remember, one of the reasons a lot of these councils, reform councils, want to do is they want to have stuff fail or stuff go wrong and then go, well, it's not our fault. That's that Labour government. That's that Labour government. Oh, if only at the next election, you vote for a Reform MP, then maybe they'll be able to stand up for your local area. Which is complete stuff and nonsense, because Nigel Farage and Richard Tice have barely even stood up for their constituencies once in the entire time being, MPs. That goes for the rest of the Reform no-hopers as well. So, as always, let me know what you think, of course, down below about this. But this will be interesting to see how this ends up playing out. This will be very interesting to see how this ends up playing out in the future. So, as always, thank you very much for watching. Let me know, of course, what you think down below in the comments, especially if you are from Worcestershire as well. There are, of course, again, click on the like, click on the share button. Don't forget, of course, to ring the bell, and we'll see you all next time.